Hi, my name is Kevin and I collect old irons. Amongst my diverse interests in the old iron history are the sad iron heating devices. These are remarkably diverse because they were especially adapted to either the stovetop wood charcoal heating stoves or kerosene or natural gas or liquid stoves. And I have done now 4 in-depth videos on various of these topics and 6 of short videos on some of these devices. And those 6 videos add up to 25,000 views, which is a significant part of my viewership amongst these videos. And that is not because iron collectors are watching these videos to that extent. It's because there are a lot of stove collectors. And the stove collectors are seeing this topic where showing how irons were applied to their stoves. And we should spend a moment and reflect that it's not just stove collectors. There are substantially distinct groups of stove collectors. There are people that are interested in just the wood stoves or maybe charcoal stoves that somewhat overlap. And there are people interested in the kerosene stoves, the natural gas stoves, gasoline stoves, each of these individually. Nobody collects these all. Sometimes the stove collectors are specializing on just 1 or 2 of these groups. There are a lot of stove collectors out there. Now, in these videos on the sad iron heaters, one that I've been wanting to do for a long while is the laundry stoves. Stoves that are designed to heat sad irons and probably not designed to heat much of anything else. And I had not been able to do that video because I just don't have enough laundry stoves. They're a little bit large and hard to find and so forth. But I found this one recently. I found it in an auction in England, and I should tell you the postage getting it here far exceeded the cost that I paid for this thing. It's interesting. It is a stove, rather squarish. Oh, door in the front. Let's just take a look at it. I'll take this top off. Pull this thing out. I want to show you there's nothing on the inside. Okay. Now there is on top of this base there is a grill. We'll put this back on. So what was heating this stove? And it was nothing internally. It's absolutely empty inside except for the grill. What I think this used a burner underneath, probably natural gas. It might have been kerosene or gasoline or something else. It was slid in here and heated. You can put your irons maybe in here or certainly on top of here. Oh, and particularly around the sides. So the sad irons were probably heated. You could heat them on the top, but primarily these are heated around the sides of this top. They're very, very steep sides. I don't have much in the way of English or European flat irons, but this is one, and it goes, fits perfect. Here's another one. It goes, they lock in place very, very well. And I might as well put some more around this. Let's just do an American. Try another one. That holds. Oop. Doesn't hold very well. Here's another one. What's going on here? I know what's going on, and I've learned something new that I did not know before, and probably very few of us iron enthusiasts might have an understanding of. The flat irons for American and English countries are different. Okay, there's some significant differences in the flat irons, and part of that significant difference is because of the stoves that they might have been using. This is a Harding's patent safety grip. Now I want you to notice this has 4 bars. It doesn't have a big handle. It has rather a number of smaller pieces that add up to a very lightweight handle. This one is actually made of sheet metal that's cut out, and then a part of it is wrapped around, so the handle here is basically hollow. And there's a whole bunch. This is a polishing iron rather than a flat iron that have holes within the handles. So the handles in English irons by and large, are designed to be lightweight. By the way, there's also a lot of, in England, a lot of flat irons with wood handles, and that's almost, you just don't see that hardly at all amongst the American irons. And the reason for that is that the handles are heavy, and the heavy handles, as we've seen with the American irons, this is solid metal, okay, so for the handle, that keeps the weight on this side and creates a different balance. The American irons are balanced differently than the European irons. Also, there is some differences in the back here. This one sits in here and sits in here very distinctly into the groove, whereas these oftentimes set in on top of the groove. And I discovered this when I first got this. I thought I'd make a display and put some of my irons around. I put some irons, mostly American, those are what I have a lot of, and I would walk around, and as I walked past this display later on, in the porch area, probably the ground is not as solidly anchored as it is here. I'd walk by and my irons would fall off, just with a minor vibration. So that is neat. The design of the English irons are essentially different by and large with the American irons, and that is in part for the English stoves. Now I've got to tell you, I've got a data set of only 2 or 3 English irons and 1 English stove, but I'm going to have to test this hypothesis some, but it does seem to work pretty well. So this is an English laundry stove with flat sides, and we see that this works well with a flat irons of different than the American design. Over here I have a French laundry stove. On the French laundry stove you'll see that the sides also are very flat up and down. The French irons, quite different from American irons. They have a broad flat piece and a very simple hollow handle of peculiar design. Again, as with the English irons, these things, by the way you set them flat, you find out that they're actually inclined a little bit to our left. That is so that they rest well on these stoves. And these particular kinds of stoves are pretty common in France. You might also notice this peculiar handle with this interesting design back here. I've always wondered about that. I you know, must have had some purpose. I think I maybe found that purpose. You put that here, that there keeps this thing from falling down. So what we've seen so far is that the English stoves and the French stoves are peculiarly different and use peculiarly different sat irons we're used to seeing in the United States. This is an American stove. What I want you to notice about the American laundry stoves is they are very peculiarly slanted to a greater degree than the English or the French stoves, and that is because they have bigger handles, oftentimes heavier. I want you to notice in this particular laundry stove that it has a lip that supports the entire weight of the iron. You can move them apart, but they don't fall off the way they do with the British stove. We can look at a Scandinavian stove, and these Scandinavian stoves are designed for very large, very heavy sat irons, and the Scandinavian sat irons I've seen oftentimes are of this kind of extent, and they will sit right here, and there's no chance that they're going to fall off with anything. So the 4 stoves that I've seen here from England, France, United States, and from Sweden are characteristically different, and I've looked at some pictures of other stoves, and they don't all fit into these exact precise stereotypes, but I think that these general conclusions do work out, and we'll see, I hope, some more of these laundry stoves later on and be able to test that hypothesis further. Pete and I have been really having a great time with this. The more I look at these things, the more I learn. It's increased my understanding of these irons manifestly, and I'm enjoying this. I hope you're enjoying these as well. If you do, please subscribe give me your thumbs up and give me your comments. Thank you very much.